I'm Sherm Chester, and today on the Seacoast Sports Forum, I'm joined by Sam Bruno and Coach Jim Tufts. Well, gentlemen, we've got the winter sports season coming to a close. Before we get into the schoolboy thing, I want to start off with the Olympics. It's been there for a couple of weeks, been overshadowed a bit by the Superbowl. Have you guys been watching any of the Olympics? And if so, what have you been doing? What have you been watching? I'll start off with this. Jim, how about you? Coach Tufts.
24/7. TV's on almost all the time. We're watching it. We get up in the morning, we're watching what happened. We watch it mid-afternoon, knowing what has happened. And then, again in the evening, sometimes with a clicker if the Celtics and the Bruins are on. And then I get up one night and watched unfortunately get up and watch the end of the men's hockey game at about 1:15 in the morning, and had to get up and said, I bet they're still finishing, and saw the tragic end of that. So it's just great to watch people compete and the storylines, and you feel badly for Michaela Schifrin and Russian figure skater, and there's some tragedies, but there's also it's just wonderful watching them compete.
What about you, Sam? You've been checking it out?
I think I'm just trying to figure out the terminology. Okay. I turn it on and I see that it's women's half pipe steamboat, something or other going on. I don't know all the new events. I can't figure it out. Hockey, figure skating, bobsled.
Yeah, you gotta get the curling. You gotta know when the rock is on the button. You got to know when the rock's on the button and which end it is. And who's got the hammer? You got to know that stuff, Sam.
I'm sorry, I'm probably in the dark ages on all this, and I'm just trying to figure out, seeing these skiers flying through the air and doing 8 somersaults and stuff like that is just
They're crazy.
How do you train to do something like that? You've got to
land in the water.
Is that it?
Yeah, they land in the water. They come off of jumps and land in the water. And
wow.
You can try all the twists and jumps you want. It's pretty safe there.
I was going to say the event that got me was I had never heard of before, but hey, it was fun to watch. It was right after the Super Bowl. NBC cut away to the monobob race, and the lady who had been formerly the Canadian champion, she came over to the U.S., got her citizenship. She became the gold medal champion for USA, and then we got silver in that.
Yeah, gold, silver. Yeah,
that was interesting.
Monobob.
But monobob, I'd never heard of that before.
You're only going 80 miles an hour.
I guess I'm old school though in one regard. I was talking to our producer Bob before the show, and all three of us go back to the thrilling days when ABC had the lock on the Olympics. Well, the thrill of victory, right? And the agony of defeat. And Jim McKay was the lead guy. He was the 24/7 anchor of whatever was going on. And of course, technology wasn't there, so they couldn't have multiple networks like NBC has Peacock, and they have NBC this and that. And so you can have the events spread out all over the place. Let's see, we had in those days, Chris Schenkel, Keith Jackson. Those are some of the guys that were the lead announcers, and they had to paint the pictures. Dick Button, skating. Dick Button, you're right. And the thing was, they had to paint the pictures verbally because the technology, obviously they had the replays, but they didn't have all this, folderol. They have satellite this and that. It was pretty archaic. They were using film back in those good old days, and then of course you had guys like Howard Cosell giving his 2 cents on what was happening. Now it's all pre-packaged. You got a lot of features about the athletes themselves or the teams, and some of it's fun, but I mean, some of it's, it's like, can we just get to the event, please? It's like anything. I don't care if it's some American Idol or The Voice or any of these competitive shows, even Survivor and things like that. They've all got a package.
We were talking about the agony of defeat the other day because that poor ski jumper came down on the snow and slid off the side. Well, now the ski jumpers are in tracks, and those tracks don't even have snow in them.
Right.
They're little wheels. They're little wheels. They're coming down on tracks and launching themselves, and they can't slide off because their skis are locked in. This technology doesn't, it's just not the same.
Yeah, I know.
One of the drawbacks that we have with the 13-hour time difference between Beijing and the United States is that a lot of the competitors to NBC are giving out the results, and they highlight the results so that you know the results going into the primetime show at 8 o'clock. Who's already won.
Remember that word we used last show, embargo? They used to embargo everything. Right. ABC would not allow anybody to touch any of their coverage because it was just taboo. That was their exclusive rights, similar to whoever's got the Super Bowl being able to say Super Bowl this and that and the other thing, and the other guys have to say the big game. So you're right. I mean, that does take a little of the tension away from it. And again, where they spread things out over the different networks, and like Jim was saying, getting up at 1 a.m. to watch an event, whether it was the skiing or the skating or whatever, a hockey game. It kind of, it's different. I mean, it's not packaged like it used to be, I guess, for the better. And getting to the athletes, and you've seen it, Jim, the technology for them to train, it's a whole different ball game now. I mean, we
were watching curling just a little while ago, and they were talking about, some of us, our vision of it is a bunch of guys up in Minnesota in the house, throwing the stone down, having a couple of cold ones. And they were talking about one of the women she would go to train, and then after she trained, she'd go to the gym, and after that, she'd go and do plyometrics. And you're sort of going, they do so much to be ready to excel at the international level.
Yeah, the only setback, or the only thing I kind of get disappointed by now, and it's not just recent, it's been going on for quite a while, it's been building, is the endorsement factor going into all the sports now. I mean, they've all got their equipment and they've got their logos all over them, and I understand somebody has to pay the bills, but it just kind of takes something out of it a little bit for me. I mean, everybody's an independent contractor, and then I want to see these kids be just there for the thrill of getting a gold, silver, or bronze medal. Don't have to worry about getting an endorsement package from whatever the sponsor is, or an attaboy from them. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I think certainly, the NBC have to pay the bills. The commercials are so prevalent right now, and that they've got to make sure that they get all their sponsors in and those types of things. So I have no problem with that. I mean, these people have to pay their way, and they have to get their training is very expensive, and they have to go through all of this. One of the things that I'm missing a lot in the Olympics right now is the controversy with the judges. There used to be a lot of good banter about, the Russian judge and the Chinese judge and all of that. And it just seems like the analytics now are just so technical with the numbers and how they score in the computerized situations. It's taken away a lot of that.
Yeah. That used to be the drama of the skating in particular. Yeah. The judging, you always had that one judge from one of the countries behind the iron wall that would give you that 3.2 that you didn't want to see, and then all of a sudden
they don't hold up the cards anymore.
Well, that's true.
That's what we need. What we need.
Yeah.
So now you want to go back to the what was it, the 72 Olympics, where they replayed that last basketball play 6 times until the Russians finally won. Sam, was that
right? Yeah, right.
That's a highlight. Not so sure.
That's it.
I hope there's a standout moment. There's been a few highlights, obviously, but we go back to the Olympics with the Miracle on Ice with the hockey team, and things like that that'll be, in people's memories forever. And I hope we get more of those as we go along. I mean, right now, I don't know, did you guys see anything like that in this current Olympics so far?
I think Chen's figure skating performance was probably going to stand out as one of the best. His long skate to win the gold medal
Right.
was an all-time great figure skating competition. So I think that one's going to stand out a little bit right now.
There was an interesting article in the Boston Globe today with the Summer Olympics coming up in 2024. In 2 years, they're going to be in Paris. But 10 years ago, Boston put in a bid for the 2024 Olympics.
That's
and
right.
they were considered one of the favorites to have the Olympics in Boston in 2024. It would have been quite interesting to see what they would have done for the venues around the Boston area to see what they could have done. I would think that they would have to have the opening ceremonies at Gillette. That would be the biggest venue there. I don't think they would spend the money to build an Olympic stadium somewhere in greater Boston. I could see they'd have the hockey on the duck pond in the Common. Okay. That would be a good spot. Okay. Certainly they'd have the skating at the Garden and those types of things. But I mean, where would you go? Where would you'd have to go up to New Hampshire maybe for the skiing competitions, for those things. I mean, you don't have to drive 3 hours to get there. I mean, it would have been a tough venue to do.
Yeah, and a spoiler alert, if anybody watches Billions on Showtime, that's part of the gimmick for this season, not getting the Olympics for Boston, but getting the Olympics for New York City. So I'm just starting, so we don't know where that's going to go, but that's the theme of this year's Billions series. I saw that Shaughnessy mentioned it's probably the best thing that didn't happen to Boston in his Globe article today.
Right.
It is.
The thing about it is, whether it's a New York City or a Boston, you'd love to see it happen, but everything would have to be spread out. The city isn't meant for it. I mean, it's got all that history, but you just don't have the part.
It is now anyway. If you look at where the skiing venues, with the cross country skiing and the downhill skiing, they're hours outside of Beijing.
Right.
And that's the way it is. I can remember 84 Olympics, which was in Los Angeles. Chet Willie was a soccer coach at Exeter High School ahead of me. And his family and my family went to Harvard Stadium and watched France play in a preliminary Olympic game. So it was all over the country, even though it was centered in Los Angeles.
Hey, I've got a semi-solution, and it's a novel idea. How about the New England Olympics, so that you spread it out over the New England states? Each state gets a hunk. I mean, hey, New England, we get a lot of snow in the wintertime, so Vermont, New Hampshire, we could handle that. Maine would want a piece of that action too. But spread it out. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool.
Be a tough day out there today.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, I want to shift gears to, and we got the expert when it comes to hockey with us today, Coach Tufts. Let's start off with the schoolboy side of things. Now you're coaching currently too, right? Correct?
Yeah, I'm assistant coach over at Phillips Exeter girls team. It's been great.
How's that going?
It's great. Awesome group of girls. Sally Kamarik's the head coach, and she just does a wonderful job, and great group of girls. And every game we lost a 1-0 game, goal scored in the last minute at St. Paul's yesterday. Just a great game. As good a high school hockey game as I've seen in quite a while. It was awesome. So every game's 2-1, 3-2, 1-0, and everybody competes hard, and it's great stuff.
Well,
having a ball.
I was going to say, now with the NHIAA boys and girls tourneys, not quite there yet, but the seasons are winding down. Give us your thumbnail of what you've seen. I know you said you attended a few games, and give us a thumbnail of what you see happening here.
Actually, I've caught quite a few games. Maddie and I, my son and I, have caught quite a few games, and Concord's the favorite. Concord on the boys' side. Concord's the favorite. Concord's going to be the one. defending champions, senior laden team. They're supposed to win, and they're the heavy favorite. And then 2-3, 3-2 is Exeter and Bedford. Exeter has 3 losses, overtime to Concord, 4-2 to Concord, and 6-5 with Bedford. And Bedford's the same thing. They've only lost to Concord, and actually they've got a loss to BG, but Concord will finish in the top spot and be the favorite, and Bedford and Exeter will finish 2-3, and then there's a field with Londonderry, Hanover, Salem. They can play. They're all very competitive games, and so it's high school hockey is well. It's very competitive.
Excellent.
But Exeter's in the mix. Exeter and Bedford should end up playing each other to see who gets to play Concord at the end.
And so that'll be your prediction at this point.
That's my prediction. Either Exeter or Bedford will play Concord.
Now, have you caught any of the girls' action at all?
I have not seen the high school girls game.
Okay, Sam, did you have anything on that by chance, or have you dug any of this?
No, I guess I just wanted to ask Jim. When you're watching these games and watching Paul DiMarino on the bench, are you getting any twinges that you want to be back there?
He's doing a great job. It's been great for me to be an assistant over at Phillips Exeter, and I get to be with kids every day and work with kids and be a little bit of sagely wisdom for Sally, who played at Dartmouth and is doing a great job, and that's been fun. And sure, I enjoy watching them play. And actually, I watched the Concord Exeter up at Concord Saturday night. I sat with Paul DiMarino's mom and dad, watched the game together, and she was as critical as I was.
Now, is there
Mom doesn't throw any punches.
Is there a Coach Tufts offensive or defensive philosophy that is continuing into the DiMarino era?
I watched practice the other day and it looked pretty similar. Yeah, there were a few drills that were, because they were skating at the academy when I finished, and so I watched for a while, and a few drills we've seen that had that same stamp, and a few new wrinkles. So it's not dissimilar, and that was one of the things that everybody says, how's retirement, and I continue to say I miss it. But one of the things that is easier for me is wonderful coaches like Paul DiMarino and Danny Curran, who've taken over the 2 programs, and
right.
They're great young coaches.
Sherm and I work with them, from the PA booth and from the scoring booth and stuff like that. And you just watch them on the sidelines and in the box, and you watch them work with the kids, and they're doing a great job. Unbelievable.
One of the things I said when it came time was, I had a wonderful time for 42 years, and it was somebody else's turn. And those two, Danny's done a great job with the soccer program, and Paul's doing a great job with the hockey program, and they deserve the chance, and I'm happy for them. Do I miss it? Absolutely.
How about officiating ice hockey? Are you doing any of that?
No. So I officiate soccer in the fall now and lacrosse in the spring, and they fire that lacrosse ball around, and when it gets humming, you can step out of bounds and get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that in an ice hockey rink. When 6 foot, 200-pound kids come around the net and there's nowhere to go, you can't get off the ice.
Yeah.
And
well, one of the things I was going to say, one of the things I noticed during the basketball playoffs that are going on, there's a shortage of officials in the NHIAA right now. They're actively trying to recruit younger people to get in the mix. And, there was an official in the basketball game the other night that I went to high school with. So, that this person is in their mature years. And, running up and down the court and dodging some of the plays inside and stuff like that. I'm saying, I know I couldn't do it. And I was very, 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 very glad to see that he was still able to do those types of things. So I was just wondering if you were on things. Now, Jim, you did relinquish your skating stars program at Strawberry Bank the other day. I saw a picture of that.
I handed the trophy over. I'm no longer the reigning champion. I'm a has-been.
You're not.
That was, you know what, that was a wonderful experience because, you know, you have your friends in the soccer world and your friends in the hockey world and your friends in coaching and teaching and all those different things. And so, you know, now I've got this great group of friends, Doug Webster, Elin Schran, and in the ice skating world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're wonderful people. And you know, there's a whole cult of figure skaters. And hey, I'm in it now.
You're in it now.
Hey,
I'm a champion. I'm a past champion.
Do you
Hey,
have a
Jim.
sequin shirt? That's what I want to
And
know.
I skated with a national champion.
Okay.
Yeah, my partner won the national singles women's title 2 years, and
Right.
and she carried me to the title at Strawberry Bank.
hey,
Actually, I carried her.
you know what? You know what? It took guts for you to do it, and you put yourself out there, and you took the gold. That's all that mattered, man.
Yeah, it was
Did
fun.
it?
I do. I have a beautiful glass inscripted trophy that my wife has put in the basement.
There you go. Hey, before we go any further, we mentioned Coach Paul DiMarino. We had interviewed him earlier in the season, and we've played that interview. But we also, at the time, we were up at the rinks. We got to interview 2 of the players, and I'll let you comment on these guys after we run the interviews. I'm giving a heads up to our producer, Bob Glowacki. We're going to play back-to-back some interviews we did about a month or so ago up at the rinks with Keegan Knight and also Henry Frazier, the goalie of and captains of the Blue Hawk hockey team. And Bob, can you run those for us? How do you keep yourself focused in game focus?
How do I keep myself focused? That's, for me, it just comes easy for me, really. I kind of have a knack for just being present. But basically I think about, there's the quote I always think about, which is, if you think the climb is hard, think about it from the view from the top. So I always think about that, you know, like the glory of winning it all with your brothers and the guys you went to war with. That's pretty much how I dial in. And, you know, it obviously starts in the regular season.
And what about you got the underclassmen, you know, they look up to you. What is it you try to show them? You know, like, hey, this is Blue Hawk pride, this is Blue Hawk play.
Yeah.
What do you show?
Just resilience, not giving up. You know, which is really how we've always played, you know, my whole career at least. Everyone on every team I played on, just no one's given up, and we've all like fought hard till the very end. Which, you know, if they see an upperclassman doing that, it definitely feeds off to the other guys as well.
This is your senior year. What are you looking for next? Are you going to be playing in college?
Next year I'll be doing a post-grad year at a prep school. I visited some prep schools already. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I'm yet to, you know, make a decision, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited.
Now, as captain, how do you try to inspire or keep everybody focused and just keep the fire going all season long? Because it's a long season.
I feel like you can help just build everybody together as a team, you know, just a bunch of team bonding, stuff like that. Try and include everybody as well as you can in practice and games, weight rooms, films. So that's the main way you can do it.
And what about you personally, you know, your position? I mean,
Yeah.
you got a lot of heat. So how do you keep yourself up for that?
I guess it is a little harder in the game, so I'm not on the bench as much. I can't really see what the atmosphere is like, but when I'm on the ice, just trying to be as positive as possible, and, you know, just try and convey the message to everybody when they're out there, like pat on the back, good job, you know, just that kind of stuff.
What does a coach bring to the table for you personally?
For me personally, I feel like he's a great, like, overall leader for the team, you know. He brings everybody together. He encourages me and everybody else to just, you know, like I said, get better every day. We need to keep building. We need to work as hard as we can every day. And I think that's probably one of his greatest qualities, is just his hard work.
Keegan Knight, and that was the captain, Henry Frazier, the goalie of the team. We thank them for the interviews we did up at the rinks, and the folks at the rinks for letting us have the luxury box so we go in there and have a little quiet, because it's a noisy place, that's for sure. But Jim, you've spent a lot of time at the rinks, and tell me about those two gentlemen in particular, and the play you've seen from them this season with the Blue Hawks.
So they were both ninth graders, and I've known them since they were kids, since they started skating in Exeter. But they were both ninth graders. You know, my last season, Henry, primarily with the JV team, and he's really gotten better. And if they're gonna make he's had a great season, and you know, will be some pressure on him going into the playoffs, because the goalie in hockey is like a pitcher in baseball, and you know, he's going to have to stand tall. But you know, he's had a great career, and I know Paul has a lot of confidence in him, and the boys have a lot of confidence in him, and great kid, and I think he'll have a great finish to his career. And Keegan actually played varsity substantially his freshman year, and you know, it was great to hear him talk about what his role is, because he was on the other end of it when I was there. You know, he was the youngest kid on the team, looking up to the older kids that were great leaders, and he's taken that on. He's up over 100 points in his career. He's one of the top skaters in the NHIAA, and I really enjoy this. It's been a lot of kids don't finish their high school careers. They play 2 or 3 years and move on to different choices. And Keegan, like several of the kids right ahead of him, you know, has played the 4 years at Exeter High School, and he'll play a PG year somewhere, and he's got the potential to play college hockey. And you know, I give him a lot of credit for sticking it out just like his buddies did, and enjoying the experience of playing with his friends in high school, because there's nothing better than playing with your friends in high school. And so those are two great kids that they're going to rely on this playoff, but they're more than capable.
Well, before we get off the schoolboy thing, I want to ask you, and you brought up college. Tell us about your feelings towards the UNH hockey program on how things have gone with the guys this year.
Well, they've had a good year. You know, they had a good win over UMass. They beat UMass Lowell a weekend or two ago. And UMass Lowell sitting at the top of Hockey East. So, you know, they've got two tremendous goalies. Mike Robinson came back for his 5th year, and you know, has been one of the top goalies in Hockey East. And then they got a transfer in Fessenden from out west, and he's been tremendous. So they, you know, again, goaltending is the name of the game in ice hockey, and those two guys give them a chance every night. And they're in the hunt. You know, Coach Sousa's done a nice job, and you know, they're a player or two away from, you know, really, Hockey East is such a great conference. You know, there's, you know, they're in, I think I looked at today, 8th place in Hockey East, and the number 6 team is Northeastern, and you know, their goalie's playing in the Olympics.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, you just got the conference is such a great conference, and there's such talented players. I watched the Beanpot Monday night.
I was just going to ask you.
BU Northeastern, again, one of the best college hockey games I've seen in a long time. 1-0 in the last minute. Both goalies stood tall. You know, here they are. Both goalies played absolutely great, and they're essentially the backups, because the starting goalies are both at the Olympics for both BU and Northeastern. And boy, I tell you, they come back, going to have a hard time getting the job back, because the two kids that played were outstanding. So great hockey game.
Now,
and here's another one for you. We'll throw the Blue Hawks another bone here. So I watched the first round last weekend, the Harvard BU and BC Northeastern, officiated by Jeremy Tufts, my nephew, class of 2006 from Exeter High School. He did the Beanpot game.
excellent.
He did the Division I semifinal last year, Minnesota State and UMass Lowell. So
Wow.
you know, the Hawks are making it in baseball and football, and in this case, officiating.
There you go. There you go. Keeping the tradition alive.
You talked, Jim, about goaltending. What do you make of the situation with the Bruins and Rask and Swayman and all that type of situation?
I think the Bruins really mishandled it. They really did.
Yeah.
I have always been, people sit on two sides with Tuukka Rask, and I'm on the side of, I think he's going to go down as one of the all-time great. He's the best goalie other than titles. He's the best statistical goalie the Bruins have ever had. And, he was a gamer, and I really liked him. And I felt all along there was a shot he was coming back. And the long-term contract to Ullmark was kind of I didn't really understand it. They've made a 4-year commitment to him. And I don't think 3 years from now, he'll be the starting goalie for the Bruins. I think Swayman's the real deal. And I thought when they brought Tuukka back, they brought him back too early. He should have gone to the minors. I mean, you bring a baseball, Chris Sale, they brought him back. They sent him to Portland. They sent him to Worcester. They sent him out to Florida. They sent him all kinds of places. Tuukka, they just said, "Oh, you're all ready. Why don't you just play? Why don't you just play in the NHL against the Flyers?" You don't do that. You just don't. You don't do that. And he wasn't ready. And I think sending Swayman down was not fair to him. And I think that's proven out. So Swayman against Ottawa and the Rangers the other night has faced 63 shots and given up 1 goal. Yeah. The guy's a real deal. And I just don't think I don't think they handled it well. I think Swayman's going to be very, very good. And Tuukka wasn't ready, and they shouldn't have brought him back.
The focus so far has been the winter sports season winding down, and Mr. Bruno, basketball season for the school boys and girls is coming to a finale this weekend, and that'll be at Lundholm Gym at UNH. Why don't you start off with the ladies first?
Sure. First of all, hats off to the staff over at Exeter High School. We have been telling people about the playoffs, and the preliminary round and the quarterfinal round were all at home seeds, but there was a doubt of where the semifinals were going to be played. And once the quarterfinal round games were done, Exeter High was designated as the center of the high school basketball world to be host to not only the girls semifinals, but the boys semifinals. So I had the opportunity to go to the girls semifinal matchups this past week. Sherm, you'll recap what happened at the boys semifinals, but Principal Monahan and AD Bill Ball and Kristen Morissette all had to pull everything together, and they did a great job getting the crowds in and out and running a great show for semifinal basketball.
Amen.
For the girls semifinal round, the first semifinal match was a really, really, really good game. It was Bedford against Portsmouth, and Bedford High School was ranked 2nd. The Clippers were ranked 3rd. And the first half was a defensive battle. It ended up 14-13 Bedford at the end of the first half. But then something happened that you don't see a lot in high school basketball. Complete and utter domination by Bedford in the 3rd quarter. They came out and outscored Portsmouth 21-2 in the 3rd quarter, and then the Clippers just couldn't overcome that onslaught by the Bedford Bulldogs. So Bedford eventually won that game by a score of 45-24. In the second game, it was top-ranked Pinkerton. Pinkerton went into the matchup as the number 1 seed. Bishop Girton was number 5. And it was a game that went back and forth throughout, but the Bishop Girton Cardinals prevailed 66-51, pulling away at the end. So for Pinkerton, their problem was fouls. Of their 5 starters, 2 of those players fouled out, and 3 of them had 4 personals when the game ended. So Bishop Girton was in the bonus almost all of the second half. And they are a great free throw shooting team, and they were able to pull away by a score of 66-51. So that brings up a Division I girls final between Bedford and Bishop Girton. And Bedford had a regular season record of 16-2 and Bishop Girton at 15-3. My look at that finals game, which will be played at UNH on February 20th, 4 p.m. The key is going to be for Bedford getting the ball inside to their big center, Lana McCarthy. She's a dominant player inside. She was the leading scorer the other night, and if she has a strong game, it's going to be tough for Bishop Girton to get by. On the girls' side, for Bishop Girton, for the Cardinals, they have a player who I think may be named the top player in the state, and that's their point guard, Brooke Paquette. She can do it all. She can handle the ball. She can run the offense. She can shoot from the outside. She can drive the hoop. And at the free throw line, she rarely misses. So those are going to be the key players in that matchup between Bishop Girton and Bedford for the girls' championship at UNH coming up on the 20th. For the Division II championship, that's going to be played at UNH also at 7 o'clock on February 20th. And that will have number one Hanover at 16-0. They'll be the favorite going up against Bow High School at 16-2. Before you start the boys, we do have to mention that the Exeter High School Unified basketball team is also playing in the finals. They're going to be going up against Keene High School. The boys team, the Unified team, I should say, beat Winnisquam 71-70 to advance to the semifinals. And then the Unified team beat Berlin in Berlin by a score of 32-27. So they'll go up against the Keene Blackbirds in the championship game that will be played at Bow High School. And Keene advanced by beating Oyster River by a score of 26-24. So good luck, Unified, Coach Ball, Sharon Archer, all the people who work on that program.
Well, Division One, a couple of great games. The top four seeds made it to the semifinal contest at I almost want to say Bill Ball Stadium at Exeter High School. And I do want to again back up what you said. They did a great job up there setting it up with the NHIAA and good crowds, and everybody had a good time. The sportsmanship thing that we read, that was well enforced. Everybody was having a good time and they were doing it in stride. Good games. The opener was Nashua North going up against Goffstown, and the Grizzlies wanted it a little more than Nashua North, who was the number 2 seed going into it. So it'll be the Grizzlies going into the finals. And then the nightcap, Pinkerton, the number 3 seed, going up against the top seed, and that was Trinity, the Pioneers. And the Pioneers, I was saying from the get-go, they were the team that I saw all season long that I predicted would be the one to beat. And they both games were games right up until about the fourth quarter, when then both the Pioneers and the Grizzlies started to walk away from their opponents. But the two names you want to watch out for in the final game that coming up on Sunday, 10 o'clock, Lundholm Gymnasium, Division I boys basketball at 10 a.m. Wow. It's going to be Rob Bagiti, who is the driving force for the Goffstown Grizzlies, against Tyler Bike, who is the force for the Pioneers of Trinity. Those two names we're going to be hearing a lot during that game. They've got a lot of other players and good players on both teams, don't get me wrong, but those two guys drive the bus for those two teams. So it'll be a good matchup on Sunday for Division I. Division II, it's going to be Souhegan going up against Conval. That it should be an interesting matchup as well. I was going to say, I haven't seen any of their games, so I'm not going to predict anything there. I think just to see a good crowd and some good contests. And what did you want to review?
Right. Sunday, the 20th, UNH, get there early. It starts at 10 a.m. It's going to be the Division I boys. Division I boys, Trinity and Goffstown, 10 a.m. And that's going to be followed at 1 p.m. with the Division II boys. And that's going to be the Souhegan and Conval game. And then at 4 p.m. is going to be the Division I girls. And that's going to be Bishop Girton against Bedford. And the nightcap at 7 o'clock is going to be Hanover against both the Division II girls. So that's your schedule for championship Super Sunday at Durham.
Yeah, Super Sunday. It'll be a fun day, and it'll be from what I saw in my semifinals, and I know you saw in yours, you've got some good teams that are hungry to get a championship. So it'll be interesting to see. All right. Well, what I was going to ask you guys before we get to the 2-minute drill, discuss what you saw in the Super Bowl. Jim Tufts, why don't you kick us off?
Sure, I thought it was great, great entertainment. I mean, that's, for those of us that didn't have a horse in the race this year, particularly with either Tom Brady or the Patriots not playing. It was great football. You got the all the stars at Los Angeles and all the big names and the heavy favorites, and you had the upstart Cincinnati Bengals who just believed in themselves and looked like they were going to steal it, and the Stars won it. So it was great entertainment, and little adversity for the Rams, losing Odell Beckham and not having a running game, and had to figure it out, and did figure it out. So it was a great sporting event and great entertainment, and came down the last minute, and so it was good stuff.
I think, Jim, for the Rams, I think they should have won by more. I think their offensive performance in the second half was awful. They did have that great drive at the end, but Stafford had guys open. I know Beckham was out, but he still had guys open that whole second half. The Rams defense won it for them. I mean, they shut down the Bengals in the second half. That touchdown right out of halftime was a gift with the penalty, with the face mask penalty on Jalen Smith. I think the Rams should have won by a lot more, not because I picked them to win by 2 touchdowns, but because I think that Stafford had a rough second half. I'm glad Cooper Kupp was named the MVP. The guy's unstoppable. I mean, he reminds me of Brady throwing to Wes Welker and throwing to Julian Edelman in some of those games. Just no one can cover them, and they make the big catches and they put themselves in position. And he's just a great receiver. I've become a big Cooper Kupp fan.
I was just going to say my 2 cents on the Super Bowl. I wish the offensive line for Joe Burrow had been a little less of a swinging door in the third quarter, especially when one player, Prince, everybody was just walking right through him and putting Joe Burrow on his backside. So that was kind of disappointing because they had the momentum going there for a short time in the second half, and then things just happened. But having no dog in the fight, so to speak, even though I was rooting for Cincinnati, I see a team there that could build and be something in the future. Los Angeles, they kind of put all their chips on the table to win the Super Bowl this year. They don't get any draft picks until 2024. And I was happy for Matt Stafford. He's been in the gulag up in Detroit for so many years. Now he's got a team that he can do something with. And from what I heard, he's just a decent guy. He's just a family guy. And the glitz and glamour doesn't really get into it. I guess Cooper Kupp was the MVP, so he's the guy that got to go to Disney World. But it's too bad because Stafford has like 5 kids, little kids, and it would be nice to see somebody like that go instead. But the big thing for me was, or the thing I have been involved with for years, is this USA Today ad meter campaign where we judged the ads that were on during the Super Bowl. So I'm going to ask you guys, what was your favorite commercial during the Super Bowl, and was any commercial one that you went, what is this all about? Jim, kick us off.
Well, I had to lean over to my wife and ask. So there was the Tacoma Tundra commercial, and Tommy Lee Jones I knew, and Jonas, one of the Jonas brothers I knew, and I had to ask Leslie who the names of the other 2 women were. I said, it's got to be Jones, but I don't know who Jones. So that one sort of was. So
you're not a Rashida or Leslie Jones fan, or you have?
I'm not. I'm aging myself, but didn't have. I said I know they're Jones, but I don't know what they do.
Tommy Lee, the star, and Joe Jonas. What about you, Sam? Anything that you liked or disliked?
The favorite commercial was no doubt the Barbie Dream House, the Rocket Mortgage with Anna Kendrick, and showing that Barbie was able to buy her home using Rocket Mortgage and Rocket find her home in that kind of situation, and that the evil other people swooping in to buy the home couldn't do it. I thought it was very good. And the stupidest commercial was the QR code bouncing around for 30 seconds. And it was not that was it.
Yeah.
We were trying to decide if the television was out of wonk or what.
That was actually, you hit it on the head, Sam. The number one was the Barbie commercial with Anna Kendrick. And Skipper the Flipper. That was a good little jab there with the Barbies. And the least watched or the least popular was that QR code, and I don't even know what the ad was for. It was some
Oh, no.
It
Bitcoin.
was if I could jump in, Sherm,
Yeah.
just because I have some insight, that was the most successful ad campaign and the cheapest to produce. It was for a digital currency, cryptocurrency. So basically, they had over 200 million people scan that code or something like that. Something crazy.
Really?
So,
Well, maybe that
very
might have been the
successful
case.
campaign.
That might have been the case, but as far as what the ad meter people, like I say, I'm on one
Those
of
of us who had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was like, should we scan this thing and see what it's for? And I thought, nah, I'm not wasting my time.
So before you lose the Super Bowl, you want to hear it first here on Seacoast Sports Forum. So
Please.
Brady won on his home turf in Tampa, and Matt Stafford has won on his home turf in LA. So is Kyler Murray going to win next year because the Super Bowl's in Arizona?
Interesting.
Are they the favorites?
My prediction is Kyler Murray is not going to be with Arizona next year.
I think that's all. I think that's all about money.
It is. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think there's going to be a blow up there, and he's not going to be. He's going to go somewhere else. And Brady's going to go to Arizona and win again.
Now, see, I was
Not
going
going to be Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, could be. Could be.
I thought Brady was going to San Francisco and Garoppolo went to Tampa. Come on now. There's all this controversy of where Brady isn't retired. He's coming back and all that. So time will tell on that. But yeah, Super Bowl was interesting. My favorite ad was not the Barbie ad. I'm a sentimentalist. I always go for those Budweiser Clydesdale doggy ones. That one this year was kind of weak. That wasn't one of my favorites. I had three that really kind of hit me. The Toyota one, the Paralympic one was a well done ad. And, to me, it's do you understand what they're pitching? Does it mean something? Like the Bitcoin ones, it was funny, but it really didn't sink in. Was the Larry David one.
Yeah, it was funny.
It was fun.
It was comical.
And if you know Larry David, you can appreciate his humor. But I could see people scratching their head going like, who is he? And what's that all about if you don't know Larry David? And, so there's for $10 million for 30 seconds. I mean, boy, some of those ads, I don't know. I don't think they got their money's worth. 2-minute drill time. Coach Jim Tufts, you're our guest, so we're going to let you go on that 2-minute drill this time.
Well, I'm going to, I was thinking about this today. I'm going to heap more praise on Bill Ball and Sharon Orchard and the unified basketball team. Unified sports is one of the best things the NHIAA has done. It's interesting. Maddie popped in the picture, and I'll go back to, I think it was 2011, and Matt and I and Quinn Connor, who played soccer and basketball at Exeter High School, and had been a unified sports athlete in our Special Olympics program since he was a sixth grade to his senior year. And we had a chance to talk to the athletic directors about what unified sports was, because it had been part of Special Olympics for quite a while. And that next year, unified sports came into the NHIAA umbrella, and it's one of the best things that happens every year at all the different high schools: Alvin High School, Concord High School, Exeter High School, Keene, Berlin. The camaraderie of the kids playing on the court together, the soccer field together, carries over to the cafeteria and the hallways, the chorus rooms, and all walks of life. And unified sports has been one of the best things that NHIAA has done. And Exeter High School has been one of the most successful under the leadership of Bill and Sharon Orchard, who's coached soccer and basketball, and Catherine Nichols took over in basketball this year, and in soccer this year. And the Exeter High Unified Sports Program is gold medal program, and wish them luck again this year. They they've had great success and hope they get another title, but they've already won.
I just want to say one thing. You brought up her name, Sharon Orchard. Want to give her a big thank you. She came in with a big assist for me last night at the semifinal games up at the Exeter High School. So thank you and good luck, Coach, and the team. And I'm gonna miss that game. I wish it was at UNH. Maybe next year we'll get it back there. Sam, 2-minute drill time.
Well, people who have followed the Seacoast Sports Forum know that I have been agonizing over the last few months about football, NFL overtime rules. What are we going to do about the NFL overtime rules? At the end of the Super Bowl, I'm saying to myself, oh, Cincinnati, don't kick a field goal and tie it up at 23 so that we have to go into overtime and get into an overtime controversy. I know they're going to do something about overtime over the break here between the next NFL season. And this is what I want to see happen. I've got it now. I've figured it out. And this is what's going to happen. What should happen in NFL overtime now is each team, you flip a coin at the beginning of overtime. The team that wins gets the choice of going on offense or defense. Each team is going to get the ball once. So, for example, if the first team scores a field goal, the team is going to get the ball, and if they score a touchdown, they win. Or if the first team scores a touchdown and the other team scores a touchdown, then we go to a second overtime. Second overtime, you do the exact same thing, except you have to go for 2 points on the 2-point conversion from now on. And then you just keep doing that until a winner is determined. You play innings. I'm sorry, it's worked in baseball for years. It has to work in football. You just play innings, but you do have to go for 2 points on the second overtime on. So please, NFL, do something about that. Figure out this overtime situation so that it will be fair.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Roger Goodell, if you're listening, his name is Sam Bruno. Hey, you never know.
James Bond.
James Bond. I love the way Sean Connery say it. His name is Bond, James Bond. Anyway, that was my one impression that you ever hear.
If you don't like what I said, the name is Sherm Chester.
Yeah, throw me under the bus. My 2-minute drill. Last time we were together on our Super Bowl show, we were talking about Tom Brady, his retirement, and that show he was doing on is doing on ESPN called Man in the Arena. Got another TB12. I want to talk about a show that he's done. TB12 from Pittsburgh, Terry Bradshaw. He's got something on HBO Max right now. It's called Going Deep. And we're doing Facebook Live today. So thanks for all those folks that have been hanging in on Facebook Live with us. We're almost done. But I watched some of Terry Bradshaw's Facebook Lives. They're fun. They really are. He plugs some of the stuff he's doing. He has a horse ranch out west and down south. And he's just a fun guy to listen to. And I enjoy him on the Fox broadcast. But he's a complicated man, and he admits it. Suffered from depression. He hated his relationship with the Steelers coach, Chuck Noll, and especially being classified as stupid coming out of college when he took over the reins of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And to this day, he feels he's never gotten the respect he deserved, being put in the same genre of Roger Staubach, Joe Montana, or Tom Brady, the other TB12 in his mind's eye. And even Peyton Manning brings him up. It's an interesting show. He is I don't want to call it a variety show. He does a stage show where he goes out and sings. I remember back in 1974, when I was with WDNH, now WOKQ, we had a record we were playing a lot. It was I'm So Lonesome I Could Die, and it was by Terry Bradshaw. He actually released an album, and that was the one and only single that made it to the number 9 on the charts. I remember he brings it out in the show. But if you want an interesting view of somebody that you see usually on Fox laughing it up with the other coaches, the other guys on the dais, give it a watch. It's Terry Bradshaw Going Deep. It's on HBO Max. All right, that's it. That's my 2-minute drill.
Here's one for you, Sherm. Here's one for you. Here's a trivia. You'll answer trivia.
All right.
So going back to my Skating with the Stars adventure, one of the judges was JoJo Starbuck.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
formerly married.
And she is mentioned. Yeah, she's mentioned in that special. Yeah, it's really, there's fun parts of it when he's singing and having some jokes on stage, but they intersplice just interviews with him, sitting down and talking about his life and some of the serious things that went on, including his marriage to JoJo Starbuck. So if anybody's got, it's an hour, it's worth the watch. I don't know if I'll watch all 18 episodes of Man in the Arena with Tom Brady, but I definitely spent the hour and 15 minutes with Terry Bradshaw going deep. Thanks to all the folks that hung in with us today on Facebook Live. Something different we did for a change. We're normally on, Facebook, on Exeter TV's site, the YouTube site. You can punch in Seco Sports Forum and get our latest shows. We're going to have a podcast version of this show. Now it goes into post-production. Our editor-in-chief, Bob Glowacki, will be doing some magic with his show today, and I'll be doing some for the podcast. But you know what? Overall, gentlemen, I think it came out great. I appreciate Sam. You always do a great job. And our special guest today, Coach Jim Tufts, you're always welcome back, sir. And you and the family stay healthy. And we'll be looking forward as we get into the hockey championships, probably touching base with you again real soon.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting the way NHIAA basketball is done this weekend, and hockey's got another week of regular season.
I know.
Kind of interesting.
I brought that up with Paul DiMarino, and a lot of it's because of the logistics of rink time. That's part of it. But then, luckily, go back, and I don't want to start the COVID thing again, but it was one of those bugaboos that, was always hanging over everybody's head this year. And luckily for the schoolboy basketball, the season's over with. Let's get the championship. Let's bring it to the Blue Hawks. Well, for Sam and the coach Jim Tufts, this is Sherm Chester, inviting you to join us for our next edition of the Seco Sports Forum. Be sure to subscribe to Exeter TV on YouTube and hit the bell to get notified about new episodes of the Seco Sports Forum and other local content. Follow the Sports Forum team behind the scenes on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and send us your game footage and photos to our email. That's secosportsforum.extv@gmail.com. This is Sherm Chester inviting you to join us for the next edition of the Seco Sports Forum.